viewers. Welcome, hail, and we're going to start off by hailing the gods on this one. I feel that we need to be a little closer to them. So, in the past couple episodes, we were talking about different runes by themselves, and I realized that that could be maybe just a little bit boring. And that might be why we weren't getting too many views. So this episode of Norse Paganism for Dummies, we're actually going to talk about runes as a whole, how we can use them magically, why we need to know a little bit about them on each side, and different things. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the history of runes. According to the sagas, rune inscriptions held magical powers. With the aid of inscriptions, you could predict the future, protect a person against misfortune, imbue objects with different qualities, or you could write down conjurations, curses, and spells. Most runic inscriptions that have been found, however, contain more down-to-earth images. These have been carved for everyday use. Now, later, we're gonna go over when we do an episode on bind runes. We're gonna go over engravings on different objects to bring power to those objects. But for now, we're not doing that. In the sagas, we hear how runes and magical words were used are used in relation to health. And Egil. Now I'm going to screw this up because I am not good at pronunciation. Skala Grimson's saga, the Skald Egil used runes to cure a young girl who was enchanted by false runes. Egil carves new runes, places them under her pillow, and as a result, the girl is healed, which is awesome. The moral of the story is that runes and words can be dangerous in the wrong hands. Runes carved upon rune stones also served a variety of purposes. For example, the inscription on the Galvandrup stone in Funen contains a warning to anyone who would dare damage or move the stone. Runes are an ancient form of oracle are used by those seeking advice. Runes have a long history, dating back to ancient use by Germanic and Nordic tribes, and are still widely used in today's society. Anyone can have a rune reading, but it's also fun to be able to learn to use them for yourself. And so here we're going to go ahead and give you a guide to all you need to get started using runes. Now before we continue, remember, smash that subscribe button, hit like, and if you can, share. Because we definitely need those views. So what are runes? The word rune simply means mystery, whisper, or secret, and it's a form of divination or oracle reading system that used to help gain insight into situation or questions. Runes can be made of various materials, but are most commonly used of stone and feature a symbol from the runic alphabet on them. There are various different types of runic alphabets used on runes, with one of the oldest ones being the Old Germanic runic alphabet known as the Elder Futhark, and that's the Futhark that I use, simply because it's got more, to me, it's more in depth, and is more of a broad spectrum use. And I totally lost where I was. The Elder Futhark contains 24 runes, the first 6 of which spell out the word Futhark. Over time, this was adapted, and in order to use it to write in Anglo-Saxon or Old English, a number of other runes were added to the alphabet, bringing it up to 33. I don't like that one, simply because it was taken by Christians at that point and added to, and that bothers me. This is also known as the Anglo-Saxon Futhorc. Another adaptation is the younger or Scandinavian Futhark, which is believed to have been used in Scandinavia until the 17th century. All of these variations highlight changes that were made as people moved and immigrated to different countries. So the younger Futhark, fine, to each his own. But again, I feel that the Elder Futhark is a little more inclusive. So we're talking about different things that runes can be made of. I have made my own runes, and I carry them in a little bag made of leather, and I love this bag. It's amazing. I got my bag from museumreplicas.com. They make high quality goods. So if you're looking for swords, axes, knives, that's a great place to go. They make high quality leathers, goods, stuff like that, and at a decent price. So I made my own runes out of wood. So that's one of the runes. And as you can see, I dropped it. So I'm going to grab another one. As you can see, they're very simple. They're just a, very, very rudimentary. I just took a dowel, carved out the sides, sanded them down, and then I painted them. Now, here's the difference. What people are not going to tell you 9 times out of 10. Just buying it is fine. Buy a set if that's what you're going to do. If you do not have the means to make one, fine. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're wrong, that, you're going to be less magical with them, that you're going to be beaten with a stick. Simply that you have more of a connection if you spend the time creating your runes or creating whatever it is that you're putting your essence into, your magic. And as we spoke about before on a different video, is that magic is energy that is being used, that is being manipulated in the universe by your will of force. Plain and simple. So, to put your magic into there, what I did was I put a little bit of my own blood into the paint, and I painted it on there, and I wood burned it. So, I personally have a pretty good connection with my runes, and we're actually going to do a reading today just to kind of show you guys how to do that. So, as well as each rune symbol being a letter of the alphabet, they also have a, symbolic meanings too. So later, we'll go ahead and go over, English translation from Viking runes to the alphabet, as close as they could be translated. Obviously, you're not going to get exact, matches, but we're pretty dang close. So, they also have symbolic meanings too, although many of these date back to the traditional meanings, which would have meant a lot to the people using the runic alphabet. The intention behind the symbols still has relevance today. For example, the Elder Futhark, for a couple of them. Fehu, F, means domestic cattle or wealth. Uruz, U, means a wild ox. Thurzaz, T, which means thorn or giant. And those are the three we've already gone over. Hagalaz, H, means hail. Anzuz, A, means an ancestral god. Rideho, R, means wagon or chariot. And Kinaz, K, means a beacon or a torch. So where exactly did the runes come from? The runes stem from an ancient form of Germanic alphabet. Now, this is going over actual history. The lore behind it is that it was given, or not given, excuse me. Odin got the runes by giving his eye, and I believe off the top of my head, drinking from the well of Mimir. Off the top of my head. But anyway, this is the actual history. The runes stem from a form of Germanic alphabet, which was used by the Germanic and Nordic tribes of Northern Europe, Scandinavia, and Britain for writing, divination, and magical purposes. Runic inspirations have been found on stones, jewelry, weapons, and objects dating back to the 3rd century AD, but it's likely they existed before that. So, what can runes be used for? The runes can be used to help guide you through problems or issues and help show you what is likely to happen. However, they are not a form of fortune telling, and don't offer exact answers to give you advice. Rather, they differ. They offer different variables, suggest how you could behave if the event does occur. Runes are known for hinting towards answers, but leaving you to work out the details, which is where intuition is helpful. Now, when we were deciding whether to move to Indiana from across the country or not, I used the runes in that case to make that decision. At the time, I was still fairly new, and sorry, I'm grabbing the rune that I dropped. I was still fairly new to runes, and was still getting to really know them. But needless to say, I still used it, or used them, and I actually had a completely different set at that point than I do now. And so when we used them, we looked at them, and we had a positive answer towards what we were wanting to know, but really it was up to us. And excuse me, I'm going to take a small drink. My tongue is going dry. Okay, so really it came up to us about whether or not we were going to take that positive answer and run with it. Now, we were getting a semi-positive answer about staying. So we could have stayed and ran with that. And positive stuff would have come out of that. However, the way that it was running was, it looked like, to me, that it was more positive to go to Indiana than it was to stay in where we were in Idaho. That being said, I believe what has, and it took 6 years, good Lord, but I believe that the good that did come from it was way better than what could have happened if we had stayed. Runic readers acknowledge that the future isn't fixed, and that individuals have the power to follow their own path and make their own decisions. So if you don't like the guidance that a rune reading provides, you have the power to change your direction or your path and follow a different route. Runes can be used in many different situations. For example, one of the occasions when it can be useful to consult the runes is if you're in a situation where you have limited information or can only see an incomplete picture. So how do the runes work? Well, when you cast the runes, it's not fortune telling. So the idea, the way that runes work is that as you ask a question or think about an issue, your conscious or unconscious mind are focused when the runes are cast in front of you. They're not totally random, but are choices that have been made by your subconscious. The things you can ask runes anything. Okay? It's usually better to ask a yes or no question. Okay? Simply because they can give you a positive or a negative answer instead of kind of I don't know, yes or no questions are the best. So what sort of runes do you need? Runes can be made of different materials, like we were talking about earlier. Wood, stone, pebbles, crystals, bone, or even metal. I have even seen plastic. I highly do not recommend plastic. Simply because plastic is a man-made material. You have no... How are you going to put your essence in it? How are you gonna bond with that material? It's just not gonna happen. These are the materials that I just listed are materials that you will find in nature. You can find in the earth, and of course, we're bound to the earth, and that's where the energy comes from that we're trying to manipulate. So, when you're first starting out, discovering if you like rune casting, then a simple set will suffice. So, go to your local Jesus. Go to your local spiritual shop and get a set that is made out of stone. Get a set that's made out of crystal. Fine, whatever. I, again, recommend making your own because it puts your essence in it and gets you that much closer to them. So, once you've practiced for a while and developed a passion for runes, then it's lovely to be able to choose and buy a special set. If you're drawn to a certain crystal, such as rose quartz or amethyst, then perhaps investing in a crystal set of runes would be appropriate. Or you can buy a set carved into simplistic pebbles or small sets of stone. Either way, the materials the runes are made of is a very personal choice, and it's what you do with them that really matters. When you buy a set of runes, they will often come with an instruction booklet that explains what each rune is, and what its symbol represents and how it is interpreted. Storing your runes. Runes are often stored in a little drawstring pouch to keep them clean and together. Now, the only thing that I dislike about this bag is that on the inside, and I don't think that you could probably see that, but it's got like a felty feel to it, so it does leave a little bit of black dust on the runes, because they're made of wood, which is semi-frustrating. That being aside, you don't want to accidentally lose a rune or two, because that could be devastating to your runes. Rune pouches to store your runes are widely available, or you can find a small box to keep them in. Using a rune cloth. I do not. To each his own. Again, a rune cloth is a piece of fabric that is used to put the runes on when reading them. Ideally, it should be a small white cloth, and specially designed rune cloths of right size are available. When you're trying out runes for the first time, you needn't worry too much about investing in a special cloth, but it may be something you can explore once you've determined your love for the runes. The cloth prevents the runes from getting dirty or damaged, and act as a form of boundary for the rune casting. Fine. Believe what you will. I personally do not use a rune cloth. As long as you've got a clean table, that should be sufficient, as far as I'm concerned. Whipping out cloths in the middle of nowhere is kind of weird. So, it's fairly easy to interpret runes. Like any form of divination or oracle reading, it can take time to master the art of reading the runes. I still have to print off a list of each rune so that I can read, and you're going to see it, so that I can read it and get an actual reading. So it can take time to master the art of reading the runes. There are books and guides available to help understand the runic meanings and their significance in your life, and to the questions and issues you're exploring. And with practice, it does get easier. Ideally, you should receive an easy-to-understand guide to the meanings of the symbols when you purchase your set of runes. It does help if you're open and willing to use your intuition to assess what the stones are revealing. Don't worry if you're not sure at first, as this is perfectly normal. Just try and preserve. Write down details of any runes you're unsure of, and see if the meanings present themselves to you over time. When a rune appears upside down on your rune cloth or on a table, then there are alternative reverse definitions. Your rune guide will provide details of this. Even experienced rune readers, for example, say that meanings or significances that are unsafe about or stuck on can suddenly come to them at a later date. The blank rune. Some rune sets come with a blank rune. However, opinions over the validity of a blank rune are mixed. Personally, I believe in the blank rune. That's me. The traditionalists saying that there is no historical evidence that blank runes were ever used. It's up to you how you want to proceed with blank runes. If you want to include them in your oracle reading, then that's fine. But if not, you can always remove any blank runes that are included in your set. I personally have it in there. There's only one, so it's not like you're going to get 50 of them or anything like that. So how to get started using your runes? Find a quiet place to do your reading and start by having a period of quiet where you clear your mind and focus on the reading you're about to do. think about the issue or question you have in mind, and if you so desire, you can say a prayer or call upon higher spirits to guide you with your reading. Your rune cloth should be spread on the table in front of you, ready for the runes to lay upon it. There are various different types of rune castings you can do, which are similar in idea to tarot layouts, but on your very first attempt, you might just like to start by picking out between 1 and 2 runes, analyzing its significance. Okay, enough of that. There are, last night when I was going through it, I found like 100 different layouts that you could do. The one that I use is the 3 Norns. That would be this layout. Okay? So it goes left to right. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Very simple. Right? You read left to right, and that's the way you go. There are also the 5 directions. It looks like that. I use the 3 Norns because it's simpler. You don't have to do too much. Okay, so let's get down to this. First of all, like I said earlier, it's always good to, and my wife's automatically saging, woohoo! And so, it's always good to invite entities, deities to help. So, to all the gods and goddesses, to all of the ancestors, we invite you to come into our home and to help us with these questions that we're going to ask. Actually, only one question we're going to ask. Just to give us a yes or no answer, positive or negative, whatever the fates will. So, we're going to shake up the bag. Oh, honey, what question should we ask?
That's a good question.
Okay, so the smoke you're seeing is from what is it? Palo Santo stick, which I personally recommend over sage because it smells better, and I think less expensive. So we're gonna shake this up, and I've come up with a question. We have been, and this is a personal question, and I'm going to go ahead and share it with you. Are we going to have another child? That's a good question. That's a good yes or no question. We've been trying, and we're gonna find out. So we draw the first one, and it comes up upside down. Ah, and it was this one, and that is. Okay, so it not necessarily bad, not necessarily good. The next rune, woohoo, is Jera. Right, it's that rune right there, and that is not negative or positive. So we put that there, which is good. And the last and final rune is that one, and it comes right side up, and that one is, my brain isn't working, that's not what that is. No, it's gonna be we'll call it that one. Okay, so I must have a different paper or something. I'm not really sure because I don't know what that is. I'm going to call that Hagalaz. Okay. And that's right side up, so that's positive. Okay, so the way we read this is we look at which ones they are. Huh?
Do you want me to?
No. We look at which ones they are, and we start from left to right. First one is Bracano, so that is birth, fertility, growth, new beginnings. Yeah. So let's go over here. So I've got two different papers, right? One is showing me which one it is and its name, and then this is going to tell me what exactly it means, sort of what exactly it means. So we're looking for Bracano, or however you say it, because again I'm bad at pronunciation. There we go. Following the warrior. This is a much gentler rune. What is called for here is to consider your issue with care and awareness. So the author Blum writes, something is in its early stages. Maybe that thing is yourself. Be clear with your motives right now and exercise control. Whatever comes later will be easier in exchange for your diligence right now. Well, I guess I drew it reversed, not upside down, or right side up. So, if you draw a reversed Bracana, you may be at a loss for what to do at the moment. Consider what needs to grow or advance in your life, and see what you can do and make room for that. So, maybe the reason we haven't had a second child yet is because we're working on our finances too. Maybe that's it. And that would be why it was coming up upside down. Perfectly fine. Great answer. The second one was Jera, which is right there. As its name suggests, Jera implies that you're investing in good things to come. So we're working on that credit, working on that financial stuff. But it may take a while, so don't push right now. You're on the right track, and much like Awaz, Jera urges you to be patient. You're in a time of great potential. Perhaps you're on the right track at work or trying to conceive. That could lead to great reward down the road. And then finally, and I still don't know what the hell that rune is. Oh, it's Awaz. Jesus, how did we screw that up? Okay, so Awaz, the U tree, strength, relief, ability, trustworthiness. So let's go find Awaz, because Awaz is awesome. A physical change is coming. Maybe a big move, a major career transition. Don't worry, any change that happens now should be an improvement upon your current state. Plan for the future now, even if your present feels to be in flux. Sweet. So, what I'm going to take out of this is that it's positive. It's a great answer. That yes, we're probably going to have another child, and that we're on the right track financially, which is, I mean, we've been working hard at it, so I would hope so. And really, I think that's the end of our video. Again, thank you for joining us on Norse Paganism for Dummies. And again, like, subscribe, and leave some comments in the box below. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.